No bull. No Scotty, no Pippen, no Michael, no Jordan, no bull. No bull. No bull. Only real shit in my town. Now the fake niggas ain't round. No bull. No bull. Yeah. No bull.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of No Ball with me, Jimmy from UK Chicago Bulls. We've had a couple of weeks off with Christmas and the New Year and everything else. We just took a little 2-week break, so it's been 3 weeks since we've done one now. So it's good to be back. Thank you for coming along if you're along live or listening back, however you are. As always, I really do appreciate it. Got a lot to talk about. Obviously, we've not spoke for 3 weeks, so there's all sorts to jump into. Unfortunately, we're not talking about the ongoing winning streak, but we'll get to that, no doubt. My guest today is two guys. If you've been on the socials, you've seen it. That already do a podcast. They're 2 of 3 from Met the Criteria, and you'll probably notice if you're watching today, I've got my City Edition Lowry Markkanen jersey on, and there's a reason for that. I normally wear my No Ball stuff, but I've put this on especially for one of my guests today. So a quick backstory. Last season, I jumped on their podcast in a preview, and I made a bet with Vinnie, who is a Houston Rockets fan, that the Bulls would finish the season with a better record than Houston. At the time, they had James Harden and Russell Westbrook, even though Harden had handed in a transfer request and Westbrook was as good as gone. Vinnie still was convinced, not that he's biased at all, that the Houston Rockets were going to have a better record than the Bulls. So we agreed whoever finishes last has to go on a podcast or a show or something with the opposition's jersey on. I don't think he's done it. I think he's come on, so we're gonna give him that. But I don't think he's got the jersey on. So I'm wearing this just as a little reminder for him to him. About our little bet. But we'll see if he holds it up. So let's get them in. It's Jared as well. It's not obviously Theo's the other guy. He's not in. It's Jared and Vincent. Jared's a Bulls fan. So yeah, let's get the guys in and we'll go from there. Welcome, gentlemen.
How's it going, Jimmy? Good to be here, mate.
Thanks for joining
I'm
me.
I'm so disappointed in Vincent for the lack of Lowry Markkanen jersey. Mine is on its way as well. I completely forgot to put it on, but here it comes. Courtesy of my wife. We're live. We're here. Lowry Markkanen.
Yeah.
Here we go. We're ready to go. Let's get it on.
This could be a little Lowry heavy start to this episode. As you can see, I've got my Lowry bobblehead as well. Benny's still here. Benny's there. But we've just replaced him with Lowry for the start of this, just to rub it into Vinny again.
Okay, first of all, Jimmy, thank you very much for having us on the pod today, okay? I want to shout out to all the listeners and everyone viewing this episode. I'm very honoured and guessed. And by the way, what an intro. I was just dancing away listening to that. Absolutely brilliant intro, Jimmy.
I got a shout out to Rory Rocket for that intro. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I don't really know where to begin, Jimmy. I can only apologize, you know. We made an agreement. We made a gentleman's agreement, and I didn't live up to it, did I, Jimmy? I didn't live up to it. So, you know what? Next pod, I am definitely going to buy myself a Lowry Markkanen top right now. I don't know who I'm going to go, throwback store or hit Theo up. I don't know who to go for, but I'm going to get a nice Lowry Markkanen shop top. And yeah, I'm gonna keep my word. I'm gonna keep my word, Jimmy.
They're a collector's piece, man. If you can't see, Jared's got the statement jersey with the Lowry Markkanen on. That's an awesome jersey. Love that jersey. And I've got my 2017 City jersey, which was a grail of mine. I only actually got once he had left because a Bulls fan who I think is based in Canada. I forgot his name. I'm so sorry for not shouting you out. Got in touch and asked me if I wanted to buy it off him, which I did because I've been after this jersey for a long time. So I've not worn it really because I don't want to wear it because I'm worried about the lettering falling off, which I did on my Joachim Noah one. If anyone saw that on the socials when I washed it, and I was absolutely mortified. Thanks for Elliot from Hoopin' and Luton for giving me a tip on sorting that. I've actually got the stuff, but I've not got around to doing it yet. I need to do that. That's reminded me. But anyway, yeah, thanks for joining me, boys. I really do appreciate it. Taking the time, especially you, Vinny. I know you double booked yourself today, so fair play for coming on. Even if you're not wearing a Lowry Balls jersey, we'll let you off. We might have got into some trouble. So, boys, have you... Vinny, I don't know if you've watched much of the Bulls games. I know you've not watched many Houston games.
Definitely watched more Bulls than he's watched Houston. I think that there's no doubt about that.
I'm not gonna deny that. Oh no! I wouldn't sit here and say I've watched more Bulls game than Rockets game. I wouldn't sit here and say that. Never. That's the truth. That is genuinely the truth. I've not watched more Bulls games than the Nets.
So you can't hold up your agreements. You're not a man of your word. You're lying.
Listen, Jared. This is Jimmy's pod. We'll see what he says, and then we'll see what happens from there.
I'm happy for you two just to go at it if you want. It's fine.
honestly.
But Jared, obviously I guess you have watched a lot of the Bulls games this season.
Yes, yeah. I'd love to say I've stayed up and watched every single game. I haven't quite, but I've definitely watched over half of the games, and any games that I've missed live. Half of the games live. I'm probably any that I miss, I'm always on the extended highlights and checking the box scores and all that kind of thing. So I'm committed this season. This is the first time the Bulls have been very good since I started watching them. So I'm committing to it this season.
Fair play. That is some doing. I can only, as everyone who listens regularly will know, I can only really commit to one live one a week, and the other ones I get up early and watch before I go to work. I still watch the whole game, but I can't watch it. There's nothing better than watching it live, is there? When you're interacting with on all the socials and stuff, it is amazing. But I picked my live game this week, and I've picked the Brooklyn Nets game, which is on Wednesday. I'm stupid for picking it because for some weird reason, even though it's at the United Centre and it's against an Eastern Conference team, it's 3 a.m. So Thursday morning. I can't get my head around that. I have no idea why it's 3 o'clock. We got Pistons the night before. That's no reason. But then Brooklyn are playing the night after back in Brooklyn. So, it's a strange one. I have no idea why that is 3 o'clock. I should probably try and find out, actually. But I've picked that one this week. So it's going to be a killer at work on Thursday. But I've picked that for obvious reasons. That's a game that we probably didn't expect, if we're all being honest. We didn't expect that to be a sort of fighting for the top seed of the East, I don't think, between us and the Nets, did we? Anyone? I know you certainly didn't, Vinny. I can tell by that smile on your face.
I personally think with the Bulls, I don't know if I've said it in the pod and I've said it again. The Bulls I'm shocked by the Bulls right now, what they're doing. I am shocked by the Bulls. I think they're over, I don't know. I said something in the pod in the lines of they're doing it as expected, because I think I said it in the beginning of the season I said the Bulls, it's their season to prove right now. There's no excuses for them not to make the playoffs. And at the moment, they're in contention. Now, Jared obviously brought it to home to me, kind of saying, well, you didn't expect the Bulls to be sitting, what was it last week, the top of the East right now. You weren't expecting that. They were top of the East. So then that's true. But in the sense of you got DeMar DeRozan, you got Zach LaVine, you got Vucevic, you guys should be in the playoffs no matter what. But yes, you could say you are overachieving in the sense of you guys are balling. Like you got probably one of the best backcourts in the league, if not the whoa. Sorry, let me take it back. Let me rein that back. You've got one of the best backcourts in the league, like top 5 best backcourts in the league, and you got 2 clutch players. Like I don't know how many teams you can say that you can have 2 players that's going to average 25. Average both of them on the backcourt, and then you got Vucevic, who seems like he's getting back into rhythm again, starting to shoot from the 3. You got good rotational players, you got good core players that could get you like playoff ready players in your what's his name? Alex Caruso. You got great defenders. I didn't appreciate how much of a good defender Lonzo Ball was until Jared kind of emphasized it, and I started watching more games and what he actually does in the defensive play. So you could say this team is brilliant right now. I'm not going to sit here and lie. This team is a balling team. These guys are ballers. You got to put respect on the Chicago Bulls at the moment, and I'm kind of happy. I feel like you guys deserve this. Obviously, I give grief to the Bulls. I think I enjoy giving grief more to Jared, not the Bulls, just Jared. Or I kind of just enjoy doing that, more kind of I remember back in the day in the pod, me and Theo would be talking about our teams, and we're like, yeah, no one cares about the Bulls, Jared. So I think
it's on you, isn't it? You're
exactly
with a lot of stock.
You're right, Jared. You're right. So I think at this moment right now, I'm kind of happy for Jared to sit there and actually enjoy watching his team.
Thank you, Vinnie, because I was definitely I'm also happy for you that your team are now rubbish, because now I get to laugh at you. So we're both happy. So that's great. That's great news.
That's what you call beautiful friendship there, Jimmy. This is called a beautiful friendship.
The best thing about it is even when we were rubbish, you were worse. So that was...
Whoa. Okay, take it back. We were not worse, okay? I will come for both of you right now on this pod right now. We were not worse than you guys when we were rubbish.
Because you finished with a worse record than us, hence the bet we had that you.
No. Last year is different. We lost James Harden. We can't deny James Harden was. No one saw that happening. James Harden
you did, because he put in a blooming trade request. And you.
Yeah, and I was kind of hoping John Wall would step up. I don't know what happened, but I'm not gonna lie. We were trash. But I wouldn't say we were worse than you guys. In the sense, terrible. But
wow, the record said otherwise, man.
I was going to say, you ended up with the number 2 pick, so you must have been, and that was your own pick, so you must have been pretty bad. So.
Yeah. Let's move on.
All right, now you're right. Listen, we've overachieved. I don't think there's a Bulls fan out there that realistically thought we would be at this stage of the season and top of the East, probably at any stage of the season, if we're being completely honest. And the majority of people, myself included, had the Nets and the Bucks running away in their own sort of little pair. And then the next guys with us in it, just underneath in a different sort of league with their own. So the fact we are where we are now is amazing. And to do it with so many players out over the period we've had as well. I mean, we've still not got our best defender back. That's, to me, as great as Lonzo is, to me our best defender is Caruso. I don't think it's too close. And Javonte Green as well, who is massively impactful. I think you can't underestimate that.
And I think the thing is, it's right now you've got players like that not playing right now when you're playing this good at the moment. It just shows you what this team could potentially be in the playoffs. For me, I've said it. I feel like you guys are in contention to be in the conference finals. I feel like we'll see what happens. I don't know, this Nets team, when I watch them sometimes, I don't know. I don't they're a brilliant team, and obviously Kyrie coming back will make a massive difference. But just sometimes the Nets team, I don't know. And it's the Bucks as well. I see those are the 3 people I can see in the conversation right now. It's just who Jared said it, I think, in our last pod. Who is the one that's going to get dropped off by the Bulls then, if it is going to be them 3 in the finals, because someone has to drop? Who's that one? Who's that one the Bulls are going to beat? Is it the Nets or the Bucks? Jared has in his head they will beat the Nets comfortably. Okay, maybe not comfortably. Okay, sorry, not comfortably, but he feels like they can beat the Nets, and the Bucks are the team that you guys can't beat. Now, for me, I feel like I feel opposite. I feel like the Bucks is the team you can beat. The Nets, I see KD is a different animal, and he's the one that's going to make a difference. But going back to what I was saying about the playoff players, in Alex Caruso, he's one of the most underrated defenders in the league, one of the most underrated players in the league. LeBron, people think LeBron James traded Caruso. LeBron James didn't want Caruso out. It's just that the Lakers weren't willing to give him the money. It's not like LeBron James valued Caruso. He wanted him in the team. And I'm sure LeBron James right now, if he's sitting there, is that, I told you, keep this guy. So Caruso, he's an exciting player. Lonzo Ball, he's stepping up. He's showing people that don't just be talking about my little brother. I'm still out here as well, okay? LaMelo got his skills from me. but Lamelo and Lonzo are different anyway. That's a different conversation. But Lonzo Ball, Vucevic, DeMar DeRozan, next level. You guys are just killing it right now.
Funny you should mention the Mello. By the way, Andy's just put in the comments that the actual wording is, you are very quiet, Jimmy, compared to the guests. I don't think he means it. I'm not saying anything. I think he generally means my microphone was turned down. So, Andy, if you could let me know, I've just turned it up. Hopefully that sounds better, mate. If you could just let me know. There is about a 30-second delay, so I won't get it straight away.
Maybe I'm chatting too much.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. He has also put that he agrees with Jared. The Bucks scare him. I was about to say the exact same thing. I'm more scared of the Bucks than I am the Nets because of the whole matchup. I think we will match up well against the Nets. We're already 2-0 against them. Excuse me. Granted, they didn't have Kyrie Irving. I understand that, but you know, I don't think we're going to fear the Nets. And I think the Bucks. Obviously, we've not played the Bucks yet. It's still massively unknown, but. Yeah, I'm with you, Jared, and obviously with Andy as well. Like that's a matchup that does scare me. And the Sixers one as well. The Sixers still scare me.
No,
Yeah.
go on, Jared. Sorry.
I think it's that's the thing. This Bulls team has been well constructed in terms of sort of defending guards and defending even we've got some good wing defenders on the team. But if there's a dominant big man on the other side of the floor, that's where we're running into trouble. I mean, Joel Embiid. We played the Sixers in a sort of home and home split earlier in the season. The Sixers obviously have been pretty decimated through injuries and obviously COVID protocols and stuff. I'm pretty sure that at the time, I don't think Seth Curry played in one of those matchups. I don't think they had maybe Tobias Harris for either of them, if memory serves me right. And Embiid was just an absolute beast in both games. We ran them very close, which was encouraging at the sort of early days of the season, but we just had absolutely no answer for Embiid. As much as we appreciate what Vucevic brings to the table, he's not somebody who can slow down someone dominant like a Joel Embiid, like a Giannis, or like a thinking long term, you know, in the future, maybe a Nikola Jokic type. If there was ever a finals matchup against the Nuggets, maybe that's wishful thinking. I don't know. That's where we would struggle. So just running it back, yeah, definitely. I think we do match up better with the Nets team as we're currently constructed. But Vinny, don't put words in my mouth. I never said I'm confident in that series. I said I think
apologised.
we could beat the Nets. I don't think we can beat the Bucks as presently constructed.
Not in a 7-game series. I do have to agree. Yeah, it's scary. Andy's right. He said Giannis will destroy us in the paint if we let him look at what Embiid did to us, and that's exactly what you just said, Jared. It's yeah. We're not gonna slow them guys down. We haven't got the players to do that, unfortunately. We'll see. You know, we've got to get there yet. I mean, where did you have us sort of at the start of the season, Jared?
So looking back, I was probably a little bit too pessimistic, I think. I didn't want to get carried away. I certainly didn't expect things to go this well. At the top end, I was sort of expecting the Bulls to maybe be a 6 seed. 5 seed at absolute sort of best case scenario. More so, I was probably envisaging maybe being one of the higher seeds, going into a play-in tournament, making a first round series, having a competitive series, and going from there. So somewhere in that sort of 5, 6, 7 range was where I was looking at. So obviously, I'm absolutely delighted with that, with how it's all been going so far, and trying not to get carried away. But it's pretty difficult.
That's a man who's had his heart broken for the last few seasons of broken promises.
I was there thinking, Dwayne Wade, Rajon Rondo, Jimmy Butler, they're all good players. This is my first year watching this team. We're gonna be a great team. Oh dear, that didn't go well, did it? So yeah, didn't want to get carried away.
That was my first year back watching, actually. In the first couple of games, I thought, oh my god, what a great time to come back into this, and then it all just went to pot from there. I have not actually asked you guys, in case people don't know your story. I'll start with you, Jared. Sorry, Vinny, but Jared is the Bulls fan. I'll start with you, Jared. How did you get into basketball, and why the Bulls? That's what I always ask people, and I didn't ask you to begin with because I know your stories and stuff. But
yeah,
just in case anyone doesn't.
So getting into basketball, I've sort of always had basketball's always been in my life a little bit. My cousin, shout out to Joel. He was been massive into basketball all his life. Used to play for the team and stuff like that. I was never really that into it. More of a sort of football fan growing up and stuff. But in 2016, which that's nearly 6 years ago now. That's bonkers. And we went on a holiday to New York, and we went to watch the Brooklyn Nets play the Toronto Raptors at the Barclays Center. And we were staying in Brooklyn. We didn't fancy watching the Knicks at MSG. We'd already done an MSG tour. We brought in MSG.
You mentioned the Knicks.
It was.
You mentioned the Knicks. Carry on.
Yeah. So we watched that game, and I mean, it was just the experience of a basketball game. It was awesome. Like such an exciting sport, and it's not pedestrian like football can be at times when it's a cagey match. You know, everything's exciting, the dunks and the flashy passes and the threes and all that kind of stuff. I just love the atmosphere. So that was me. From that point on, I was into basketball. I came home, and that was the season of the Warriors choking in the finals. So I saw LeBron and his greatness in the finals there. Obviously, everyone knows I'm a massive LeBron fan. So then it was just a case of, right, I need to pick a team. And very boring this, very sort of stereotypical, as we quickly learned when we had lots of guests on our podcast. It all came from 2K. I created my pro. He looked absolutely nothing like me. I tried to make him look like me, but he looked nothing like me. And he got drafted by the Bulls. I said, whichever team drafts my pro on 2K 15 or 16 or whatever it was, I'll support that team. And Chicago picked me with like the whatever pick in whatever round. And that's how I became a Bulls fan. And honestly, it was rough for a couple of years, but I'm very glad now that I got drafted. Like, couldn't I have been drafted by the Warriors? No. But yeah, it was. It's turned out well. It's turned out well.
That is such a brave way to pick a team. I'm surprised you didn't you weren't lent towards the Knicks or the Raptors then, as that was your first game.
Well, this is it. I mean, I could have just picked whichever team won that game that night. I'm pretty sure, if memory serves me right, that the Raptors did win that game. That would have been a good pick. They ended up with a championship not long after that. But yeah, it was. I didn't do that for some reason. Obviously, as we've mentioned a couple of times, Theo, the third of not that he's the third best or anything, but mine and Vinny's co-host on Met the Criteria. Huge Brooklyn Nets fan. Absolutely unbearable at times. I think it's fair to say, isn't it, Vinny? And Jimmy, you fed back that Theo is pretty unbearable as a Nets fan. Imagine if I was like that as well. Our podcast would just be ruined. So probably good that it's balanced out a little bit with me as a big Bulls fan. So
I've labelled Theo as probably the most biased sports fan I've not even actually met him face to face, but ever spoken to, should I say. He's incredible. If you haven't listened to the Met the Criteria podcast, like, go and do it. It's great. It's great fun. But like, seriously, there's not. If there's the slightest hint of him mentioning the Nets, you bet your mortgage he's going to do it.
I'm half expecting him to burst into my house any minute because he's heard Nets. He's only like 2-3 miles away. He's just going to come, what Nets?
Nets.
It's also worth mentioning, when you watched that game, so it was 2016, I think you said it was, the Nets were really, really bad then. They didn't have anyone. I think they were bottom of the league, or certainly bottom of the Eastern Conference anyway. They were really terrible at the time.
Yeah, that's right. I think the leading scorer for the Nets that night was Bojan Bogdanovic. Brook Lopez was sort of the star player for the Nets in that season, but I think he was out injured, one of them end of season, with retrospect, I see that they were just trying to tank, so they thought they'd put the best player on the bench kind of thing. So yeah, I think Bojan Bogdanovic led the team in scoring, and it was just a bunch of guys who, I'm pretty sure all of them have really fizzled out of the league now. So yeah, that was, Theo's had a rough couple of years as well, and now he's loving it as it is now. So yeah, there you go.
Also, thinking about it, you would have obviously watched DeMar DeRozan. If he played and wasn't injured, I'm assuming he was playing.
I'm pretty sure DeRozan was on the court. It was all just a blur. We didn't have the best seats in the world. We weren't like courtside or anything like that, so I can't remember specifically. But I'm pretty sure he would have been on the court. So yeah, that was so I can say I've seen DeMar DeRozan live. Yeah, Jimmy, you've changed my mind.
When we stop recording, we need to get the date and go and look back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Google it and see what he might have dropped 40 on the Nets or something that night.
I'm getting on it right now.
You
Basketball.
Turn around and say to everyone, "Oh yeah, I've seen DeRozan drop 40 on the Nets, no problem."
Yeah, easy.
That's brilliant. What about you,
You know
then,
what I
Vinny?
absolutely,
What,
you know what I absolutely love, Jimmy, right?
Go on.
We've literally been talking about the Nets, and we were just talking about how Theo always brings it up, and we've been
Rub it
talking
on
about
us.
it for the past couple of minutes.
It's like another episode of Met the Criteria, isn't it?
Honestly, just the Nets. When we speak about Theo, all we bring up is the Nets.
I've got a few.
Brother, if you're listening in.
I've got a few things to call Theo out on, so he's going to come back up again later. Don't you worry about that. What about you? What about you, Vinny? Like, why? How did you get into basketball? And yeah, why the Rockets, man? Why the Houston Rockets?
Okay, Jimmy, okay. But first of all, so obviously a little kind of with me it was more about football growing up. So football is a sport. I think anybody in England knows it's either like your sports is either football, I don't know, rugby. But for me, it was football. So I chose football. And another team I loved as well was Arsenal, and I still do. But that's my football team, Arsenal. Now, basketball has always been kind of in the family. Oh, black person who they like basketball? Shock. But yes, it's been in the family as well. Basketball was my uncle plays basketball, my cousins, they all love basketball. But for me, I just never got into you really watching it because I thought there's no way of watching it. Like, it was never on TV. Basketball was never on TV. I don't know. I've heard people sometimes say it used to show back in the day, like late at night. I've never ever seen a basketball game on TV ever. So I was never found it quite difficult. But then all of a sudden, I just started like thinking, I really want to get into it. I want to see it more because I had a mate who used to go on about it. So let me just watch like a game. So start watching games. I used to watch the Clippers. I used to watch the Lakers games. I used to watch the Warriors. But then I just found out about this one guy with a big beard. And I was like, who's this guy? And they were like, this guy's called James Harden. I was like, he looks sick. And he's like, he was balling at the time. I think it was like, he was in the conversation of NBC. It was like him and Giannis. It was that season where they were like beefing with each other as well. So I was like, I want to root for this guy. I actually like what he's doing. And then he was like, he's a Houston Rockets fan, a Rockets player. And that's why I started following the Rockets. I started getting into it, started watching it as much as possible. Got myself NBA League Pass. Literally splashed out on NBA League Pass, which is a bomb, by the way. Shout out to NBA, pricey as anything. But yeah, bought myself League Pass, started watching the Houston Rockets game, watching it, starting to stand in the game a little bit. Because the thing is with basketball, when you watch it first couple of times, you may not understand. Obviously, it seems pretty basic when you're watching it, but once you actually start understanding what they're doing, so if you're watching like zone work or defensive one-on-ones, you start watching it and actually what they're doing and seeing ISO plays, what they're doing, rebounds, how important rebounds. Because all you're thinking about rebounds is just catching the ball, but it's more than that. It's more difficulty because people don't realize how important that is, rebounding the ball, making sure your team gets the possession of the ball. And it's like if you start understanding the skills of what people are actually doing, you enjoy it more. So I started getting into that. And then 2 years ago, then I started watching other players. And then I started watching this one guy who I absolutely fell in love with. And I'm still in awe to this very day.
I know he's coming.
In Russell Westbrook. I started watching him play. And I was like, I want this guy at the Rockets. Like this guy would be an absolute pleasure. And then I found that him and Harden were like boys, they're mates. They've been trying to get this organized, and he finally came to the Rockets. That's when I was like, I bleed red. Like that's when I was like, I bleed red. This is my team. I would die for this team. But then obviously it only lasted one season. It didn't work out. But I still love the Rockets. I will always love the Rockets. They're my team. It's been painful. I'm not gonna lie, Jimmy. It's been painful. But that's how I became a Houston Rockets fan. I saw James Harden. I was like, who's that guy with that beard? Because he's balling. He is a player that I want to root for. Started rooting for him, and then rooted for the team. And then once Russell Westbrook came, I was a diehard fan. I was a diehard Houston Rockets fan after that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It worked really well, didn't it?
Jimmy. Okay. First of all, right, you know what? Come back to me, Jimmy, once you get to the playoffs and then see what happens with you guys, okay? I want to see what happens with you because I'm not going to lie. This is what we were like. Remember how good the Houston Rockets were regular season? Do you remember with James Harden and Russell Westbrook? Do you remember how good they were regular season? Pre pre-bubble. It was pre-bubble. We were balling post All-Star game. We were absolutely in form, and
So
then that.
pre-bubble post All-Star game, what was that like?
So
Like
no,
3
it was
weeks, 3
pre-bubble
weeks, they were
post
playing
post.
well 3 weeks.
Sorry.
They were
Listen,
playing well 3 weeks.
listen. Okay, build up. Okay, the build up as well, Jared. The build up as well. We were balling, and you can't deny it. We were balling, but it just didn't work out. And in my defense, Russell Westbrook had COVID. He was out for a day. What else? James Harden. Yeah, we were balling. Okay, it just didn't work out. Okay, it just didn't work out at the end.
Our playoffs are going to go better than Houston's on the basis that we don't need Zach or DeMar to get 58 free throw attempts every game.
That's true. That's true, though. That's true. And I agree with that. And I think the thing is, with Houston Rockets, we depended too much on Russell Westbrook. But sometimes, I'm not Russell Westbrook, sorry, James Harden. But I think every team is like that. You do depend on one person, but you need that other person to step up. I think, Jared, you're always saying the formula for winning a championship, you need a top 5 player, you need a top 15 player, and a good all-round core of a squad. And the thing is, I thought we had that in the Houston Rockets, but for some reason, it just, I don't know. We got the better team won. I feel like the better team won when we played the Lakers. They were the better team, and we were just trash again. I don't know, but yeah, it hurts me. But this is not a Houston Rockets pod. It's a Chicago Bulls pod. But that's how I became a Houston Rockets fan, and I will always bleed red. I love my team, even though it pains me. It pains me to watch them sometimes, but I love that team. Sorry?
You got some sympathy because Andy's back on the comments and he said Arsenal fan and a Rockets fan. Poor dude.
Exactly. that is literally, that's the thing that's so mad about me right now. I chose 2 teams that are just were great, but no longer they're a shadow of what they were. That's what I am. I've got 2 teams that are a shadow of what they were. I support 2 teams that were just kind of just letdowns constantly. I don't know. Next time I choose a sport, I'm going to be a glory supporter. I'm going to choose the best team in that league who's got the best players.
We don't want you.
Whoa. Take it easy. But sometimes I'm gonna be sent for by so many Houston Rockets fans right now. But sometimes I just wish I could have been like a Laker or potentially like a Golden State Warriors fan. That would have been to enjoy that time as a Golden State Warriors fan. But I chose the Rockets, and I can't go back on them. I love that team now. That's my team. I will always root for the Houston Rockets.
Fair enough. It's loyal. I respect loyalty. I do. So, Andy again in the comments, he's hit the nail on the head, and it's so amazing to read. So he's put for the Bulls, if it's not DeRozan, it's Levine. If it's not Levine, it's Kobe or it's Ayo. Or it's Vooch, or it's Lonzo. We've got so many different options. It's just, and the bench. I mean, the bench is, we're not maybe not as deep as a lot of teams, but I don't know. Maybe we are because the bench are really surprising me. Especially the last sort of couple of months when they've had to really step up. It's I mean, some what the guys are doing off the bench, picking up the. I mean, Kobe. We've got to talk about Kobe, haven't we? He's turned it on. I mean, he's in a lot of trade talks with fans. Some wanted him traded, some didn't. I think most probably did. I certainly wasn't against it. I didn't necessarily want him traded, but if spit it out, if we could have traded Kobe to get someone like Jeremy Grant, then absolutely. And I'll be honest, I'm probably still open to that if it doesn't cost much else. But Kobe's been fantastic the last couple of weeks, really.
Yeah, he's been on fire, hasn't he? I mean, there was a lot of chatter amongst the Bulls community and the criticising Kobe White, the struggles that he'd been having this season. But shout out to Locked On Bulls. They were really patient with Kobe White, saying, look, this guy's had shoulder surgery, season-ending shoulder surgery last season, and he went away and had that done. Now that's a big enough thing in itself. And then he comes back to the organisation and he's like, where'd everybody go? Who's that? Oh, we've got this guy now. Oh, we've got this guy now. Oh, right. What's going on? Completely different roster. Obviously, there's been coaching changes in his young career as well. Front office changes in his young career. He'd been through a lot of changes. Then he's got this surgery, this shoulder surgery that he's coming back from. Then he goes down with COVID just as he's starting to get going a little bit. And then he comes back from COVID and he's still a little bit rusty. I think now we're seeing what Kobe White's probably optimum role is. He's a very, very good player, but he's probably not quite good enough to be a starting caliber point guard for a team who's trying to make a run in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But he is absolutely perfect as a bench scorer, heat check kind of microwave scorer kind of guy. Similar to a Tyler Hero, really. I mean, I'm not comparing the two players, not saying who's or whatever. Tyler Hero is an excellent player, but is he good enough to be a starting point guard for the Heat? Probably not. That's why he comes off the bench. That's his perfect role for him. And we're seeing it now.
He's certainly not good enough to start a fight, but that's a whole nother story. Tyler Hero, that is, not Kobe.
Yeah, don't be getting it. We'll be having Miami Heat UK up in complaining.
I've been in the group chat absolutely abusing Tyler Hero for that pathetic push on Nurkic. But there we go. That's a whole nother story. You're right. Locked on Balls. Shout out to Matt Peck and Big Dave Watson. They are big backers of Kobe. And someone else that is a big backer of Kobe is my guy Sam Blake, who's just jumped in on the comments. Quite simply, we're not trading Kobe ever. He's a massive Kobe stan, and I respect that. But yeah, I mean, Andy again's he'll be gutted if we do trade Kobe. He's amazing off the bench. Yeah, and he leads that unit. Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, I'll put this to you, Jared, and I'll put it to you as well, Vinny, because you probably watched them both. But if you had to pick between, and I know this is a complete hypothetical because this would never be the case. Well, I certainly wouldn't think it'd be the case. If you had to pick between two and you can only keep one, who would you keep out of Io and Kobe right now?
Oh man, I love.
Who would you keep or get rid of?
Who would you keep on the roster?
I love Io. I think he's for a rookie. He's been absolutely fantastic. But I think his offense is probably limited compared to what Kobe White can do. And Kobe has made some good strides on the defensive end. So as much as it pains me to say it, I think I would want to keep Kobe as it stands. But yeah, that is a tough call because I mean, Io is I mean he's Illinois. He just had his jersey retired at Illinois and everything. He's a real firm fan favourite. So it'd be tough to see him go. But
that's interesting.
yeah.
Sam, jumping on the comments. I want to hear your side. I'm guessing you would stick with Kobe, but I'd be interested to see. I had Andy, who's in the comments on last one, which was like 3 weeks ago, and I put the question to him, and at the time we both agreed that at that moment we would have picked Io to stay. I think we also do forget that Kobe is slightly younger than Io.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Is madness. That's absolutely madness. And Vinny, what about you?
I personally would stick with Kobe, because I don't know with Kobe, when I watch him sometimes, he can go quiet through the games. I think I watched the game against the Hawks a couple of weeks ago, maybe like a week or two ago, and he was very quiet throughout the first three quarters, very, very quiet. But then he stepped up in the last, and for me, sometimes you can have those kind of games, but it's about how clutch can you be in the last quarter? How can you actually step up, even if you're having a bad game? And I think that's what happened with him. He stepped it up because he was shooting terribly, absolutely terribly. But then all of a sudden, he started coming back with it, hitting them threes, hitting them jump shots. And it's just about kind of saying, are you resilient enough to keep going, even though you're having a bad game? And I feel like Jared just said it as well. Like, if you come in, last season, I'm not saying he was the main man, but he was the main guard. He was the one who started. He was the one who played with Zach LaVine. And all of a sudden now, you're a rotational player or you're coming off the bench. It's hard to adjust from that sometimes. It's like, he was a rookie last year, and now all of a sudden he's benched, and it's like, well, are you trying to say I'm bad? Like, it might take some time for him to adjust. But I think the thing is, he can learn from this. He can learn from players like Zach LaVine. He can learn from your players like DeMar DeRozan to actually be a better player. And I feel like overall, he's going to improve. And I feel like he's got, obviously, he will improve. But I mean, he's got capabilities to be a future All-Star because he can see potential in him. It's just kind of saying, finding what's best for him, like finding what's he going to be happy with. And I think he is happy coming off the bench at the moment. And it's just about him adjusting to the new role that he's been, because it's his second season in the league. We need to give him some time. And obviously Io's first season, but I just feel like Kobe's got potential to blow up.
It's actually Kobe's third season now.
Third season. Wow. Did he not play first? Well, why am I thinking it's his second season? I don't know why, but third season it is then.
Yeah, Pat Williams was our rookie from last year.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, his defense has really shocked me since he come back. That's a side of his game that I just don't think he's ever shown. And
and I think that's a testament to, obviously, Vinny, it's a great point you're making, learning from guys like DeRozan and Levine. But I think the biggest sort of additions to this roster that have had an impact on Kobe is Caruso and Lonzo Ball. Really, Caruso especially. They're a similar sort of size sort of player. Neither of them are, particularly like 6'5" aren't they? That sort of height. And I think Caruso has had a really good effect on Kobe's defense.
Yeah, 100%. Sam's completely dodged the question. He's put Kobe's 22 and he's not even got going yet. And I believe with Caruso and Lonzo guiding him, he can improve on his defense. Which, yeah, like you've just said, absolutely, he's already shown that. So Sam, come on, who would you pick out of the two? Stop dodging the question. I want to know. You've got to choose Io or Kobe. You've got to just one word answer. Come on, man. Andy's put, he is showing real grit driving to the basket recently too. Yeah, that's another thing. He's not just looking for his shot. He's actually spotting the openings. And he's being more patient. It's like with Kobe, he used to look, when he would try and drive to the basket, he would look completely out of control. And it doesn't look like that anymore. It's like he's being a bit more patient. Maybe he's learnt that from DeRozan, because we've all seen how patient DeRozan can be. And he's just looking for that right opening. And then when he goes, they can't stop him. Before they know it, he's at the rim and he's dropped a basket. So it's, yeah, I mean, that comes with experience, doesn't it? Like you say, and he's not, what is he, 22 years old, let's be honest, he's got a long way to go. And like you both rightly said, you picked up on it first, Vincent, about being with DeMar DeRozan and those guys every day of the week. That's certainly not going to do him any harm at all, is it? Okay, Sam's finally answered. He said Kobe. No big shock there. But, right, guys, I'm going to call you out on one of your recent pods. Not you, Jared. You're safe. Don't worry. I'm calling you out, Vinny, again. And I'm going to call Theo out as well, but he's not here. But I'm going to do it anyway. So you recently picked your All-Star starters, who you would have, right?
Sorry?
You recently picked your All-Star starters, who you would pick on your podcast.
Okay.
So Jared went with, this is the starters: DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Jimmy Butler, Giannis, and KD. I like those picks. Maybe a little bit with his heart with Jimmy, but I respect that. I've got a lot of love for Jimmy as well, so I respect that. Theo puts DeMar. You can't not give it to DeMar at the moment. I don't care who you are. You have to put DeMar in there. Now, this one was an interesting one because I was thinking, who's his other guard going to be? I thought, surely it's not going to be Zach. Well, no, it wasn't Zach. So, okay, so he's got to go Trae Young then. Because really, in my opinion, and I may be a bit biased, that's the only two arguments you've got currently for your starting guard. DeMar DeRozan's a lock. Then it has to be Zach LaVine or Trae Young. That's my opinion. But, of course, he went James Harden because he's a Nets fan. James Harden, Theo even said on the podcast, well, he's had 4 good games. He played well in his last 4 games. I mean, Theo, come on, man. Come on. Anyway, he's not here to defend himself. So, he also had KD, which you have to put in, and Giannis, which you have to put in. And then I'm thinking, well, he'll probably go Joel Embiid, I guess, because that would be who I would pick. Oh, no. He went with Jarrett Allen. Guess what? A former Nets player. And I've never seen a Brooklyn Nets fan say anything bad about Jarrett Allen. They still love him. I mean, listen, Jarrett Allen's been brilliant this season. We can't deny that. He's a great player, and what he's doing in Cleveland is fantastic. But really, a starting All-Star? Come on, Theo. Right. Vinny, I don't know what you're laughing at.
Mine wasn't that bad, though. Mine was actually, you've just agreed with most of mine, but let's just see.
No, because I'm taking your first answer.
No, listen. Don't take my first answer. Take the answer I finished with. I said, man, what was the finished article I said?
All right, so this is Vinny's final all-star. It's exactly who I would pick. I'll give you that. DeMar DeRozan, Trae Young. I would probably, if I had to put, I would love to see Zach there, but I think there's a massive argument.
And I got laughed at by Jared by saying Trae Young. He laughed at me for saying Trae Young. But anyway, continue.
Stand by it. I stand by it.
That's the argument for me. The reason I'm going Trae Young is because I don't want to come across as a complete homer. KD, Giannis, and Embiid. That would be who I would pick as well in those positions. But brace yourself, people. If you haven't heard this episode and met the criteria, Vinnie said DeMar DeRozan alongside LaMelo Ball.
Okay, Jimmy. Listen.
Not Lonzo Ball, LaMelo Ball.
I heard it and then I had to stop myself. I stopped myself and I was like, you know what? No, you're being ridiculous, Vincent. I kind of stopped myself. So there. I said it in the heat of the moment. It was in the heat of the moment and I took it back immediately. I was like, you know what? No, you're right. No, I can't put LaMelo Ball right now. Even though LaMelo Ball is killing it, he's doing very, very well, but he's not an all-star yet. He might be all around second team potentially.
I think there's a fair shout for him as a reserve. I think that's fair. I think that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I know you changed it, but my God.
No, it was just in the heat of the moment. I was just thinking. I think I just watched the Hornets or a Charlotte Hornets game, and I just finally thought, oh yeah, LaMelo was balling last night, and I thought LaMelo. But yeah, in overall, my final pick, I would have said Trae Young, and I'm proud to say Trae Young because I'll still stand by, even though Jared said I'm being crazy. Trae Young, for me, is a very, very good player, and I think what is he top of in assists this season? And I don't know, in a team that's been playing kind of poor a little bit, I just feel like. Yeah, but that's what I mean. That's why I'm just trying to say it's not about the team; it's about the individual. And I don't even think it's like a favoritism thing. I just think Trae Young has got capabilities to be an all-star this year, and I would vote him in as an all-star. My other picks, DeMar DeRozan. Like the only reason I didn't choose Zach LaVine because I just felt like I don't know. Even though Zach's been balling himself, like I'm not going to disrespect Zach LaVine like that. He's definitely on the bench for me. I just don't feel like he's a starter at the moment. An all-star game. I won't put him as my starter. If I was I wouldn't say he's the best guard in the league right now, one of the best guards in the Eastern Division, especially. I wouldn't say that about him. He's up there in the conversation. I just wouldn't put him as a starter in the East. But DeMar DeRozan, like, no one can write that off. No one can sit here and say what DeMar DeRozan is actually doing, because DeMar DeRozan is one of those who's kind of forgotten about in the league. It was like he was at the San Antonio Spurs. He was just going through the motions there. It was their best. Some might even say LaMarcus Aldridge was their best player, but he was their best player. He was just kind of just going through the motions at Spurs. But then when he's come back at the Bulls, he's just a next level how good he is. It's like people forgot how good DeMar DeRozan is. It's like I saw a conversation before with people saying who's the greatest Raptor that's ever played. Is it Kyle Lowry or DeMar DeRozan? And DeMar DeRozan was in that conversation in the first place. Even though he's never won a championship with them, he is recognized as one of the best Raptors to ever play the game. And so far, what he's doing at the Bulls, I'm not trying to say he's going to be remembered as one of the greatest guards to ever play for the Bulls, but he'll be remembered as that guard that kind of brought back the feel-good factor in the Bulls. He brought back good times for the Bulls, I feel like. Like, Zach LaVine is your gem. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but maybe he's that's Zach LaVine's our guy. But DeMar DeRozan has come in and he's made it like we're in the conversation again. He's brought the good times back in Chicago. He's brought that back, the old guard, the old original mid-range guard. That's what he is. He's a mid-range guard. It's just amazing at that. Like, no one does what he does. Like a Kobe. Do you know what I mean? No, please, Lakers fans, don't come at me. I'm not trying to say DeMar DeRozan is a Kobe, but I'm just saying, that mid-range killer. That's what he is. One of the best mid-range shooters in the league, and it's DeMar DeRozan. You can't write off what he's doing right now. He's just killing it right now for you guys. Like two buzzer beaters in a row. Come on, That's just amazing. That is amazing. 2 buzzer beaters in a row. And I just love his reaction to it as well. He's not like cheering, jumping around. He's just like, I know what I just did. Like, I know what I just did.
It's funny you say about Kobe because obviously Kobe was a massive inspiration for DeRozan. Being from Compton as well, he was obviously watching a lot of Lakers growing up. I don't know if you heard, he done an interview with Stacey King on the Give Me the Hot Sauce podcast, which was really interesting. If you haven't heard that, anyone go back and listen to that. That was really good. He just seems like such a nice dude as well. Like for someone who's grown up in Compton, he's been at the NBA at a really decent level for so long. And he's just so humble and honestly just comes across as one of the nicest people you could ever meet, which is not what I expected from DeRozan at all. I'm not, I didn't know much about him off court before he come to the Bulls, and I've heard a lot more interviews. Genuinely, it comes across as such a good dude, like really, really nice guy. It's hard not to like him.
Yeah, sorry to jump in, Jim. I was just going to say he's come out as well in the past. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that I know a lot about him myself before he became a Chicago Bull, but he's come out with he's been very vocal about his own struggles with kind of mental health problems and things like that, and that's been massive as sort of an example for people of not being afraid to sort of talk about these kind of things and seeking help, seeking support if you're dealing with things like that. And he earned a massive amount of respect for that. Similar to Kevin Love did something very similar, talking about some of the struggles he's had, and that's earned him a lot of respect. And that's just a testament, really. He said, people think that just because you get into this position where you're an NBA player and you've got all this money and everything, that all your problems just disappear, and that's not sort of necessarily the case for everyone at all times. And I think he does seem like a very sort of down to earth guy who just has this ridiculous talent for hitting shots from the mid range, and comes across as a nice guy as well. So yeah, 100%. top guy, DeMar DeRozan.
Another thing I loved, I don't know if you saw it on one of the games, I forget which game it was now, but on the broadcast they showed as he was taking his free throws, the camera went to his 3 girls, but one of them was a baby, so they went to his wife and his 2 girls who were sat next to his wife, and the baby was in his wife's arms, and his two elder girls who are still quite young, I'm not sure their age, but they can't be more than sort of 6, I guess. They were mimicking DeRozan's free throw action, and then if they went in, they were dabbing with the mum, with DeRozan's wife, and it was just brilliant to see. Absolutely brilliant to see.
I will always remember DeMar DeRozan for that advert he did with Drake. No, I don't know. It was like an advert, but it was for the All-Star game, and he's like, the more I hear it, the less I like it. I love that.
Is that your cousin, DeMar? Defense.
I remember seeing that at the time, and that tells you, that should have told you really the kind of person he is. He's quite genuine. He doesn't mind taking the mick out of himself and whatever else. But he's just amazing player, and he seems like an amazing guy off the court as well, which is brilliant. While we're talking about DeMar and Zach, just quickly before we go, I think it was Theo that said it on your podcast about. We was talking about Zach LaVine being probably top 15 in the NBA at the moment, which I think there's absolutely an argument for that. But then he went on to say DeMar was top 20, which I found interesting because I would have them the other way round personally.
I agree with you. I think I don't know, Zach LaVine, I don't know, with me there, like top 15, to me, I don't know, maybe if we were to break it down, 15 players better than Zach LaVine. I don't know, like, I feel like I could do it. I feel like comfortably I could do it. So, but he is right now, the way he's playing compared to some players who should. It's like right now, I've got a player that will always be in my top 15, but you will laugh me off if I say it, and you'll be like, he's nowhere near a top 15 player right now.
Is it Mr. Turnover?
Huh?
Is it Mr. Turnover?
Listen, don't you dare come for Russell Westbrook for me, okay? But that's what I mean, maybe
top 15, V.
No, I'm still keeping him in my top 15. I will always keep him. Listen, give me post All-Star hard James, what's it called? Russell Westbrook, and we'll see what happens. Once he finally figures out stuff, maybe, because this guy's a walker. Anyway, we're not talking about Russell Westbrook.
Vincent, listen, right? I'm sat here in my Lowry Markkinen jersey, as is Jared, right? I love Lauri Markkinen. In my head, he was. I honestly expected him to do everything that Vucevic can do. That's the level I thought Lauri would get to. Right, he obviously never has. I said about 2.5 years ago, Lauri Markkinen will be an All-Star in the next 2 years. My cut-off line for that is this coming All-Star game.
Oh no, Jimmy, it's over.
Listen, this is my point, right? I'm happy to say I got it wrong.
No, I'm not.
Right.
I'm not saying that about Russell
This is
Westbrook.
what
I'm
I'm
sorry.
getting at, man. Come on.
No, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it. I'm sorry. I'm not yet. Not yet. Maybe
By
in the
way,
future, but I'm not willing to sit here and say that about Russell Westbrook. I can't.
I
But
still love Lauri Markkinen, right? And I genuinely look for his box score, want him to do well. The game is in Cleveland. The All-Star game is in Cleveland. I'm not giving up just yet. Let's be honest. If anyone from Cleveland's going to be going, it's Jarrett Allen, obviously. But no, I still do look out for him. I love the guy, but I'm not fooling myself that he's the talent that I once thought he was.
no, but I think it, just like I said, like with that top 15, yes. But I feel like it's not like it's the polar like there's nowhere near each other. But I just feel like DeMar DeRozan's got a bit of an edge over Zach LaVine, a little bit more of an edge. Zach LaVine can do a little bit more, but I feel like if we're talking offensively, what do I look for in a guard? DeMar DeRozan offers that. Zach LaVine is more. No, but you know what? That's what I'm trying to say. It's very close, but I just feel like DeMar DeRozan is a little bit better. But I'm not gonna say like disrespecting Zach LaVine and say you're not in the DeMar DeRozan's a better player than you. It's more just saying DeMar just. I feel like DeMar offers not offers more, but it more just a better offensive powerhouse compared to you.
I get it.
That's what I mean. Like, and not no disrespecting to Zach LaVine, but I just feel like DeMar just offers not offers more, but in the sense of a better offensive player, I would say DeMar.
I think that's fair. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think most people will tell you, look, right now, DeRozan is a better player than Zach. There's not a lot in it. Don't get me wrong. It's not a mile. He's not a mile away ahead of him. Yeah. It is close. You could argue. It would be a hell of no. You could argue that they're both in the top 15. I don't think it would hold up, but you could make an argument for it.
I am definitely on a Chicago Bulls pod, right, ladies and gentlemen. I am definitely on a Chicago Bulls pod when they say DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine are both in the top 15. Listen. There you go, people. There you go. This is a Chicago. I don't know if you knew, people. This is a Chicago Bulls pod.
Listen, Theo had Zach in the top 15, right? Well, if Zach's in the top 15, we've just said DeRozan's better than Zach. Then DeRozan has to be in the top 15.
Theo had Jarrett Allen starting the All-Star, okay?
Yeah, but that's because he's a Brooklyn Nets link.
Yeah, Theo says a lot of things. I love you, Theo, if you're listening. But Theo says a lot of things, okay? So
listen, maybe they are top 15. I don't know. They're certainly both in the top 20. I think
100% both in the top 20. I will sit there now. I'm happy to sit here and say they're both in the top 20. Top 15 is a different. They're both 16 and 17. Let's just say that 16 and 17.
This is the whole thing as well. This whole conversation, whenever stuff like this comes up, it's always very subjective. Because I mean, at the moment, would you say Klay Thompson is a top 20, top 25 player in the league? Probably not, because he's been missing for 2.5 years. But when you think back to what Klay Thompson could actually do when he's going, I mean, he was an all-star player before he got injured. I mean, Jimmy Butler has missed a lot of games due to injury this season. Does that mean he's not the same player that carried the Heat through to the finals? Or, you know, it's all very subjective. It's up and down. It changes when players are hot, when players are not. I mean, but both of them certainly are, we can say 100% without a doubt, all-star caliber players. So at the very worst, they're sort of top 25 players, aren't they? But yeah, I mean, I think I'm with Jimmy on this one. I think they're both top 20. Probably give DeMar the slight edge at the moment.
The fact that DeMar is in legit MVP talks. Don't start laughing, Vinnie. I'm not saying he's the MVP, but he's in the talks. The stats back that up. He's in the top 6 of NBA talks.
I know you're thinking that this is just more Bulls talk, but literally on NBA.com, DeMar's been like top 6, top 7 MVP all season.
But he's not going to. Look, I can name you. Let me just see. Can name me 5 players better than him that are in the talks for of.
Yeah, but name
But you still got to bring Demar into the conversation.
but
No. I'm saying, but I can name 5 who are better in the contention of
yes,
MVP.
but me and Jared have both just said he's 6th. So name me
Oh,
6.
6th.
Name
Okay,
us-
there you go. You just proved me right. You proved me wrong. Yeah. Okay, fine. 6.
Yeah.
Fine. I'll do that. But I won't say someone who sits in the 6th place is in the conversation for MVP. I'd be like, you're not going to get it because there's 5 players who are going to get it over you.
We'll
So you're
see.
not in the conversation.
I hope,
Yeah.
I hope you're listening, Demar. Have that chip on your shoulder, man.
No. But I'm just saying, like the 18th person in the talks. Is he sitting there going, I'm the 18th person talked about for MVP? You're not gonna get it though, big man.
No,
There's 17 other players than you.
When we say in the conversation, we're talking about the US national media discussing MVP players. DeRozan's name comes up time and time again. It just does.
You know who most those are? The Chicago Bulls fans.
No. Right, listen. While we're talking of national media, not US national media, although one day I'm sure he will be. I'm going to shout out Mo Muncy, Hoop Genius, on his podcast with BJ Armstrong. They done their All-Star starters, and he had DeMar and Zach starting, which I was shocked by. I'm not going to lie, but that's brilliant, and I respect Mo a hell of a lot.
Shout out to Mo
That was
Muncy.
awesome to hear him say that.
Mo.
So yeah, that was really cool. Andy has put. This was when I was talking about Lowry earlier. You're only saying it because you have a new love in your life in Alex Caruso. That's why I'm admitting defeat with Larry Markkinen. Funny you should say that, Andy, because I was going to end the show like this. Because, you know, we can't end it in the past. We leave the past in the past.
There we go.
We put on the number 6. And,
Oh, where's the headband?
We put on the headband.
Oh, he's got his.
That's
Love
where
it,
we're at
Jimmy.
now. Sorry, Larry. We're going to put Benny back up there. There we go. This feels a bit more. This better. I feel like I'm ready for the playoffs now, boys.
Yeah, there
Playoff
we go.
Caruso. Playoff Caruso.
Love it, Jim.
When he comes back, man, the league ain't ready.
Are you getting ready?
The league ain't ready. Yeah, Andy's put 6th in MVP talks, but worst signing of free agency. We'll leave that there. I don't think anyone's saying that anymore. Guys, quickly before we go, so what I do is I ask the guests to predict the week's games coming up on sort of what record you think we're going to get in that week. Last time out, we had Andy on. I went 3-0. We only done the week's game, so it was Rockets, Raptors, and Pacers. I said 3-0. Andy said 2-1. The Raptors game was postponed, so I'm going to scrap those results and say that neither of us got it. The next week, I'm going to include next Monday's game because it's an 8:30 p.m. tip, so I will probably record this show on Tuesday next week. So, guys, we've got the Pistons at home tomorrow, then Brooklyn at home the following evening, then Golden State at home Friday, then Boston on the road the following evenings. That's 2 back-to-backs in a week, which is crazy. And then Memphis on the road next Monday. So Pistons, Brooklyn, Golden State, Boston, and Memphis. What are you saying?
Okay.
We're
giving. Oh God, sorry. You go first.
It pains me to say it, but I think we're coming out of those games with a losing record. I think we're gonna probably go 2-3, maybe squeeze out a 3-2 at best. But yeah, there's some tough road games and some tough teams coming into the UC there. Yeah, so realistic hat on. I'm saying we're gonna go 2-3.
2-3. What say you, Vinny?
You'll beat Pistons. You'll beat the Bulls. You'll lose against the Warriors. You'll lose against the Celtics, and you'll lose against Memphis.
So you're
That's
saying
me.
We'll beat Pistons and Brooklyn.
Yeah, you'll beat Pistons and Brooklyn, but you'll lose against the Warriors, but the Celtics, and actually the Celtics. Is it at the Celtics or is it at?
Yeah, it's in Boston at the Garden.
Okay,
yeah.
so you the Celtics should beat you, and then Memphis I think will beat you as well.
Okay, so you're going 2-3 as well. So that's nice and easy for me to do. Okay, I'm going to go 3-3. No, I'm not. I'm going to go 3-2 rather. Can't go 3-3 because there's only 5 games. I'm going to be the optimist. I'm going to go 3-2.
Who do you think? Who do you think you're gonna go on? Give me which games do you think you'll lose?
So we're going to beat Pistons, absolutely, because that'll be a bounce back from last night's defeat. Brooklyn and Golden State are the two that worry me, obviously. But then Memphis are playing unbelievable ball at the moment as well. I'm going to say that we lose to Golden State and Memphis.
Okay.
I think we beat Brooklyn, even though Kyrie will be there for that because it's in Chicago. And it is on the second night of a back-to-back for us. I don't know. Oh, man, it's tough. It's tough. I want to beat Brooklyn, though, because if we don't, I'm in for all sorts of hell in the group chat from those Nets fans. I have been absolutely smashing it the last couple of weeks.
I love just wait. Every time I go on and check that group, I just scroll. Let me just find Jimmy's screenshot of the Eastern Conference standings. There it is. Very good. There we go. Keep it going, brother. We love it.
I'm merely making the most of it because let's be honest.
You've got to.
If we end up there at the end of the season, nobody will be more shocked than me. Trust me. So I am just making the most of it while I can, and I'm gonna be prepared for when the hammer comes down and bursts my bubble. It is what it is. It's still better than fighting for a play-in tournament seed like we have been the last couple of years. So, yeah, enjoying it while I can, that's for sure. But, guys, listen, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate you taking time out to do this. It's been good fun.
That's having us, bro. It's been fun.
Thank you for having us, Jimmy. And thank you all to the Chicago Bulls community of the UK. Everybody knows I love the Chicago Bulls, so thank you. I wouldn't say it.
I told Vinnie before we recorded, if you listen to Met the Criteria, you would have heard Vinnie say about probably a dozen teams in the NBA. Everybody knows, and I think it started with the Celtics. Everybody knows the Celtics are my second team, and then it was everybody knows Brooklyn are my second, or Golden State, or whoever.
I have never ever said Brooklyn Nets is my second team.
Don't make me find the takes, Vincent. Don't forget, I've got all the cards.
Whenever Jared pulls out of the window, it's all been edited because I have never said the Brooklyn Nets are my second team.
This close once, though. You were very close one time.
All right.
So
Well,
check the back catalogue, listeners. Honestly,
he certainly never said the Bulls were his second team. That's probably because we've sucked up until this season. And I said to Vinny before we started recording, I swear to God, if I hear those words come out of his mouth that the Chicago Bulls are his second team, I'm never listening to another episode of the Criteria podcast. But no, honestly, guys, give yourselves a quick plug as well on your socials and stuff before we go.
Do you want me to do it, Jared? Well, Jared's frozen.
Oh, we lost Jared.
Don't know what's happened with Jared.
Oh no, he's back.
Oh, he's back. He's back now. So you can follow us on Met the Criteria, at Met the Criteria and everything. Instagram, Twitter. As we always say, you need to tell your mom, your granddad, your dad, your uncle, your auntie, your sister, your brother. Tell them about Met the Criteria. It's three lads talking basketball, three friends talking basketball. We give each other grief. We just talk basketball. We're not experts. People hear me, they know I'm not an expert, but we just enjoy our company. We just talk basketball. That is literally it.
That's what it's all about. That's what this show. I'm no expert. Everybody knows that. Just a fan, and I always say that. I'm no expert at all. If you want expert advice, then go and listen to the Hoop Genius podcast because that will give you expert advice. This is just a bit of fun. But no, seriously, guys, I really appreciate you jumping on. Yeah, I'm going to go and find out why that next game's a 3 o'clock tip on Wednesday night because I still don't know the answer to that, so I'm going to find that out. But guys, everybody out there, stay safe. Thanks again for joining, whether you join in live or listen back. Really do appreciate it. And enjoy the games we've got coming up. A very busy schedule this week. So, yeah, enjoy it, guys. And as always, everyone just stay safe out there. Thank you very much, people.
Bye, people.
Go Bulls. Go Bulls.